is still occupied, and the fact under international law, and the fact that Israel withdrew the colonies in 2005 doesn't mean that the territory is no longer occupied, because under international law, the presence of the colonies is foundational of colonization, not of occupation. The occupation exists when there is effective military control of one state over another or over a given territory. And effective control is not as it was like 100 years ago, when, I mean, the only opportunity to control a territory was through troops on the ground, boots on the ground. Today, control can be exercised in other forms, and Israel maintains this control via the blockade it has imposed. But even you could have that control even without the blockade, because Israel maintains the control over the ground border, all accesses via land, which also determines a control of everything that enters and everything that exits Gaza, everyone who enters and exits Gaza. Control over the sea, which doesn't only mean control over the territorial sea. It's within Gaza Sea that Israel enters with its boats and patrols, and even attacks Gaza's fishermen. There is control over the aerial space, the electromagnetic space. There is control of all the goods that get into Gaza, up to the point that Israel controls the calories that are allowed for the Gazans to feed themselves, how many medicines they can have, the equipment that hospitals can have. Everything is determined by Israel. And think that even the currency, the taxation system, the civil records are maintained by Israel. And last but not least, in 2005, when Israel withdrew the colonies, reserved itself the right to carry out preventive strikes. So it reserved itself the right to hit Gaza as it pleases and as it deems necessary. Of course, it's occupation. What else can it be? And this is an infringement of the right of self-determination of the Palestinian people in what remains of their land. Now, if there is one thing on which the international community agrees, is that there should be a two-state solution on the 22% that remains of historical Palestine, that Israel didn't conquer in 1948. Fine, but that state cannot materialize without the right of self-determination, which means, in essence, the right of a people to be free and to exist as a people, politically determine themselves and their government, culturally living their identity, including their religious identity, enjoying their cultural identity, or economically, meaning benefiting from the resources of the land over which the Palestinians should be able to govern over the territory without any control from outside. And the Israeli occupation is quintessentially violates the right of self-determination through the annexation, fragmentation of the territory, the establishment of the colonies which suck all possible resources that Israel, even water, underground resources, arable and grazing land, everything is used by the Israelis, and including the offshore resources of the Gaza coastal area. There are natural gas and oil that are exploited or exploitable by Israel only. And the fact that, for example, the Palestinians cannot exist politically because there have been continuous interferences by Israel through targeted assassinations, through manipulation of the, let's say, the formation of an integral polity. I mean, even the divide between Fatah and Hamas has been fostered by Israel. And this is something that, in general, the Western community doesn't understand, because we tend to suffer from amnesia. And but this is the reality. Without self-determination, there cannot be two states. The flip side of the right of self-determination is the right to resist. The Palestinians have the right to resist the oppression, the longest occupation of modern history, which doesn't mean inciting to violence, means recognizing that a people under occupation has the right to oppose itself to this oppression, of course, within the limits allowed by international law. This is recognized by the additional protocol to the Geneva Conventions. This is recognized by the General Assembly. For example, Resolution 3236 refers to the right of the Palestinian to regain their rights in line with international law. So there is a recognition of the right to resist. But of course, we are no longer in the decolonization era. We are in the post 9/11 era. So talking of resistance is make people think of terrorism by default.